Hello class, this is Mrs. Mullich coming from my art studio. As your home, I have discovered that many of you don't have as many art materials as I do, but you all do have a pencil. So we're going to do this lesson, or this unit is going to be on the pencil and learning to draw and create different values with the pencil. So you will need obviously a pencil sharpener, and an eraser. Okay. So I would prefer if you had an eraser that is not at the end of your pencil. This is a nice vinyl eraser. This is actually the same eraser, only in the dark color. Okay. So what I have drawn here already is a value scale. And using pencil, understanding pencil, you can get a variety of different values. And what value is darks, mediums, and lights, just using the one tool, using the pencil. So first we're going to do a value scale in segments, as you see right here. And then I'm going to do another value scale with no segments. I'm holding my pencil about the halfway point. And right now I'm shading, if you will, on a slight angle. And go back. So notice I actually made them very similar in tone, and now I'm going to go back and add another layer. The ones here, the darker ones and the medium ones, those are actually quite easier to do. The more difficult ones are the lighter ones, because you have barely are touching your paper. And again, that's a little bit more difficult since we're used to writing with a pencil. We're used to, writing our names or pressing a little bit harder. And notice I'm kind of looking at them all so that I get a sense of this one against that one, the lighter against the medium. And these are about half an inch or so blocks. I'm gonna go back. Again, just don't do one, one, one. You do want to look at them in relationship to the one next to it. And again, those ones went quick because they're very, very light. Okay, so that's the value scale. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can kind of see it. That's the value scale using pencil. And again, I could spend even a little bit more time perfecting these and getting a variety of different values. But I'm aiming for about 5 or 6 different values. And then another value is actually the paper. So the paper is obviously a value, the lightest value, in this case, white. Okay, so I've got my darks, I have my mediums, and I have my lights. Next, I'm going to do a value scale without the boxes. And this one, I'm also holding my pencil at the halfway point. But what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to do 2 different ones. This one, I'm going to kind of stay on this same concept where I'm going to go just up and down. I'm going to go back again. I'm going to go back and add another layer. Again, those lighter ones are always harder to do. The dark ones, even the medium ones, are easier. It's those light tones, or deciding what to leave light. And again, I do want you to use the pencil. You may have in the past sort of smudged it, which is fine for some projects. But again, I want you to learn how to use the pencil and how to control the pencil to get the tones that you want. When you smudge, smudging has its own own set of things that you need to learn to do when you're smudging. So again, one value scale where it's in blocks, another value scale. Now, since this goes gradual, we call that gradation, where it kind of goes a sort of a gradual change from light to dark. I'm going to do another one this way. This one, instead of doing in that diagonal, I'm going to do it across. Same idea, different direction. And what we are also learning how to do is use the pencil as an art tool. You have been using a pencil probably most of your life as a writing utensil. Notice there aren't any lines. As if I were to write my name, I would be writing in line. Here I have value. If you actually saw me going in slow motion, I would be kind of going in sort of oval shapes. What I don't want to do is I don't want to do like a little segment here and a little segment there and a little segment there, because where they overlap, I end up getting a dark color that I may not want later on. So I want to treat it, and again, treat it as a whole. And again, those lighter colors. Always take time. I like doing this with a regular pencil. Those of you who have mechanical pencils, you can use that as well. Your lead should be a soft lead. If you are getting too much of a line, then you might want to look around for a pencil. I like this particular brand, is a good brand of pencils. They're not art pencils, they're just, writing utensils, but they make, they're softer than some of the other pencils. Okay. All right, so there I've got 3 different value scales. One where I have my little boxes, one where I'm doing it on a diagonal, and the other one kind of going through. You can see how the dark here kind of goes. And I could do that on the top one as well. I just didn't spend enough time. Okay, so now what do we do? Okay, so the reason that this is important, the value scales are important, is because we're going to take this same value scale and we're going to put it in a shape. Okay, and we're going to put it in the shape of a circle. We've done this before in class, where you want to take your pencil, kind of hover over it. I'm making mine about the size of a golf ball, or no, probably a little smaller, probably the size of my pencil sharpener. But I'm going to hover over, and then when I feel like it looks kind of round, I'm going to kind of land. And again, I want it to be super duper light. You can see already that was my size that I was kind of aiming for. And then how do I know where to put the dark, the medium, and the light? I need to have a light source. And for when you're learning how to shade, I do recommend that you put the light source either in the upper right-hand corner or upper left-hand corner. Okay, don't put it in the center. This is probably a good place to put it a little bit off to the side. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that, again, this is for learning purposes. When you're actually looking at something, you're going to notice where the light source is. This is just for understanding light source. My light is going to come down here. So my object has a color. In this case, it's going to be gray. But my light is coming down here, so it's going to be, my lighter values are going to be here. My main tone or medium values are going to be here. And my darker values are going to be there. So I'm kind of creating a value scale across the object. Okay, so let's do that. I'll try to kind of explain it as I'm doing. First, I'm not gonna, even though I know this side is gonna be darker, I do wanna build up the color. The first layer, I'm going to do several different layers. The first layer never looks good. Always looks kind of scribbly, and that's okay. Okay, that's how you're going to start. The next layer, so this layer I kind of went on a diagonal. Now I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And notice I'm still right here, someplace in my light medium tones. The reason I'm going in the other direction is to even out the graphite or even out the pencil. Okay, so again, I'm somewhere in here. Now I'm going to go a little bit darker. So I'm going to, because this is on an angle, I'm going to go about the halfway point, and I'm going to do exactly what I did here, and I'm going to add another layer. And you can see it's starting to get a little bit darker. Now I'm going to go at the next one, which is, so like, let's say this is the halfway point. That's kind of 1/4. And again, I'm going to add another layer. Okay, you can see already, again, it's starting to have, there's my value scale. Now I have a value scale here kind of going in this direction. One of the things, so now I'm at the point where right now I want to keep that circular or that round shape. The edges look a little bit fuzzy just because I'm doing this with pencil. Now I'm going to actually, what I call sharpening up the edges. And I'm going to turn my paper just a little bit because it's an easier angle for me. And then from that 1/4 point, I'm putting a very soft line. So I'm going to use words like, so a soft line is a line that looks like that. A hard line is a line that looks like that. So I'm doing kind of a softer line. So this is what if I was going to be writing my name, this is using it as an art tool. So I'm doing a soft line on that edge. It's not so important that your shape be perfectly round. What I'm really looking for is more the gradation and the understanding of the dark, medium, and light, and being able to get that value scale within the object. So that's my darker side. My lighter side, again, the lighter side's always the hardest side to do. I'm very gently just going to put a little tiny bit of pencil in there. And again, that's the harder side because I don't want to put a line. And you may even use an eraser on that lighter side if you need to. And again, how dark or light you get, again, it's going to take a little bit of time. All right. So again, I have a value scale, light, medium, dark. I'm going to now put a shadow on there, and I'm going to put a line, a very soft line. underneath there. And I'm going to put my shadow right there. Now going back to my value scale, I'm actually going to use my darkest color. I'm going to do a little trick as well, a little visual trick of the eye, and I'm going to leave a little white space between my shadow and my object. Okay, I'll zoom in a little bit more. So again, it's a little visual trick to leave a little bit of white space between the object and the shadow. I will be also giving you a link to another video. You can find this obviously all on the internet, but I wanted to show you myself. So again, this is lesson number 1. You're going to do your value scales. And so I just did 1 here. I'm going to have you do 3. Again, the more that you practice, the better you'll be. Happy drawing. Okay, so you should have drawn several circles. So a circle is 2-dimensional, a sphere is 3-dimensional. So once you add your value and shading, you've actually made the object appear 3-dimensional. Okay, and obviously it's an illusion. So shading or value does create the illusion of 3-dimension. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to look around your house or your room, and you're going to find 5 objects, and you're going to be drawing them one at a time and then adding to the composition. But right now we're going to do another practice one, and that is with any object around your house. I happen to find an apple and a pear, but you can really pick anything. An apple, if you have an apple or a piece of fruit, that's what I would recommend. And as I'm looking at this, you can see that light is coming in from my window and is creating this highlight or light value here. And then on this side, it's much, much darker. Okay. So even though the apple, yes, is red, I'm going to create different values of dark, medium, and light. What some artists like to do is not just draw from real life, but take a photograph and then make that photograph black and white. So that's another step that we're going to do. But right now we're going to be drawing this from life. And again, it's going to be sitting in front of me, and I'm going to be drawing it right there. Okay. So again, I drew it very lightly, and that's what you want to do. I drew it actually probably slightly larger than life size. Okay, so you want to do life size, or I would say slightly larger than life size. Don't make it too small. It's much more difficult, believe it or not, to shade because you don't have a lot of space if you make it an object too small. So life size or larger if you have a smaller shape. And I used what we have learned before. I looked for the geometric shape, kind of an oval shape. I made this a cylinder shape. I saw where that was placed in there, and then uneven. I might want to indicate a little bit of where my highlight is. Again, all this is done very, very lightly. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, very, very lightly. And that's kind of the key. That's going to be my highlight. So I'm going to fast forward through this so that you can kind of see how I create the different values in the apple. Okay, here we are back with the finished apple. Obviously, I've been drawing for a while. That took me, it took me a good 15 minutes, so it's gonna probably take you 30 minutes. So again, don't take your time. One of the things that I wanna point out is, think of this again, it's not a circle or a sphere, but I wanted to still have one side that was much lighter and one side. So my light source, I have a window right on my right hand side. So the light is coming in from here, and then this side is much darker. Okay, so again, I wanted to incorporate that light as well. I did at some point, and again, we've talked about texture before, so I did use both value and line to create texture, and I did that in the apple by kind of making these sort of feathery kind of lines. Okay. So this week we're going to look around our house and we're going to pick 3 objects that we're going to draw. And again, life size or larger. So that's this week, and again, next week we'll have another drawing exercise. Any questions? Just let me know. All right, I'll talk to you soon.